Oh, man. What's going on, YouTube? It's kind of crazy because I haven't seen you since my return video where I said I was coming back and I wasn't going anywhere and then I went somewhere. But, hey, I'm back. And, welcome to the first ever 31 days of Halloween presented by yours truly, me. I'm gonna back him up because he's like right in frame. He isn't now. Now we're connected. It's me and you. 31 days of Halloween. What is it? It's a video a day. Every day. In the month of October. That's a commitment. That's a job. That's something that I haven't done ever. I mean, I've had a job, but upload a video consistently every day, I've never done that. When I'm about to show you, I can do that. But what's the videos? Well, it's everything spooky. And maybe some other things, but mainly spooky. Or at least I find it spooky. So I thought, what better way to kick off the 31 days of Halloween other than a scary story, a true scary story from me. Now, this was back in high school. Me and my friends, we used to go camping a lot. We would go camping a lot. Just all of us hanging out around a campfire. We all had one tent. We'd sleep in that tent. And surprisingly to most people, apparently it comes as a huge shock, we weren't doing anything bad. We weren't drinking or doing drugs. We were hanging out and camping. And there was this one of our friends, Bruce. That wasn't his real name. His real name, can't remember. I remember his nickname, Caleb. That was his real name. He would let us, so where his house was, you would drive through. So like, let's say his house was right here. You would drive through a gate going behind his house, which was like a huge pasture. And you would drive all the way down, I'd say probably a half a mile, maybe a mile. And it goes to the water. And we set up our tent and our little campsite there. And we camped there, it feels like every weekend. It was really awesome. We were really secluded out by ourselves and you had the water. Now, the people in attendance, and if I forget somebody, forgive me. It was me, Jake, Zach, Bruce, obviously, Dylan. I think Andrew was there. I don't know if he was. I think Josh was there. So there were 7 of us. And you know, we were just having a good time. We had a fire going. We were around that fire. We were being stupid. Zach was always the guys to go out in the dark and get the wood and bring it back to keep the fire going. Me and Dylan always, well, not me and Dylan, me and Josh always kind of just sat around the fire. And Jake did the same thing. And like, we were all making fun of each other, you know, just like friends do. Dylan's role was essentially, so you knew we were camping because somebody would bring a cooler. I think it was Zach. But he would bring a cooler full of ice and full of Mountain Dew. And I guess this particular night, Dylan just opened up the cooler, and I guess he was afraid of seeing Mountain Dew one too many times. And he grabbed it, and he goes, "Mountain Dew!" And he chucks it into the lake. And it was funny the first time and the second time. But by the time he threw out 2 12-packs worth of Mountain Dews into the lake, it wasn't funny anymore because we had nothing to drink except hoping that the ice would melt in the cooler and we could drink that. He chucked them all into the lake. And Dylan, he was a special case. You would look at him and you wouldn't think there was an athletic bone in his body. But the kid was born a freak of nature and could outthrow any of us. I mean, he had an arm that was ridiculous, and he was chucking these things. I mean, if it was daylight, we probably would have seen him clear the lake to the other side. This kid was chucking them 100 yards easy. I mean, I don't know if it was actually 100, but he was chucking them. And it was so sad because, like, I was actually thirsty. And you know how when you're dehydrated, the only thing that, like, quenches that thirst is water. But we didn't have any water. It was just Mountain Dew. So, like, I would always drink my fair share of soda on these trips. And that particular night, I just hear the constant psh, psh of Mountain Dew cans hitting the water and just being never seen again. It was a sad sound for me. But anyways, back to the camping. So here we are, and we're essentially just out here minding our own business. You know, nothing strange has happened yet. And the night goes on. It's fairly late now. I'm saying probably in the AM. So we decide to go to bed. We're kind of running out of firewood. Everybody's kind of sleepy. And there's nothing to drink. We're all kind of basically going into survival mode now. So we all 7 of us, get into the tent. The tent was more than big enough. We all had room. So there was 4 people, no, I think there was 3 people in the back of the tent. The way the tent was set up, it was like 2 big boxes. There was the back box and the front box. The back box, I think, had 3 people. That was Bruce, Zach, and Jake, I want to say. And in the front box, oh, Jason was there. He was the other one I forgot. And Jason, Josh, Dylan, and me were in the front box. Now, I like to sleep directly in front of the zipper of the tent. I like to sleep there. It just gives me a sense of security. If I need to get up and use the bathroom, I can just get up, go through the tent door, and I'm already there. So that's where I was sleeping. I think Dylan was to my side, Josh and Jason was on my other side. Now, we all pass out. And you know, like, there's jokes and stuff going on, like they're joking and laughing, but if we eventually all pass out, we're all asleep. Now, if someone had to get up and go outside the tent, they had to go by me. No one got up. I think Zach may have once to go out and like pee in the woods, but no one was up at this particular moment. I just woke up. My body just woke up. And I rolled over on my back because I like to sleep on my stomach or on my side. And I rolled over completely on my back. And I heard whispering. Now, I know I was sleepy. I remember being sleepy and thinking, oh, it's probably the back box. Those 3 just talking. But then, like, I woke up more, and the talking was coming from the front of the tent. Now, I laid there, and I heard kind of whispering. And I heard someone go, it was definitely a male. And he was like, there might be people in there. And that threw me off guard, because I was like, might be people in there. That's weird. Now, the thing is if we were camping in public, I would already be, afraid. But we're on Bruce's property, and Bruce lived in the middle of nowhere. He had neighbors, but his neighbors weren't close. So the fact that people who weren't in the tent, so besides the people who were in the tent, the fact that there were more people outside of the tent was a freaky idea to me. So I just laid there. I froze. I was like, all of us are accounted for. I hear Dylan sleeping beside me, 2 people on the other side. And then, like, I didn't want to get up. I was afraid they might hear me. And I was like, well, I assume everybody's in the back. And I just laid there. and I could hear them continuing to whisper. They knew, they had to know, that people were in this tent. And then something caught my eye. On the side of the tent, so I'm looking at the door, on the right side of the tent, I see a light. Not shining directly into the tent. They were just shining it, going in the same direction as the tent. But I could tell it was a light because it lit up kind of part of it and dimmed out. They had lights. Which means they seen our chairs, our fire, and our vehicles. So they knew people were in this tent. And now I'm like, well, there's definitely two of them, right? Because he was talking, and then now someone's holding a light on the other side of the tent. And then that light is still there, but it starts to come around the tent. And when it comes around the tent, I guess he had to cut it wide. Because when he came around, it was still kind of pointed at the ground, but I seen shadows of legs right in front of the tent door. And then like he raised it up a little bit, and the guy turned around and said, put the light down. And when he did that, the light suddenly went down. Now when he did that, this is what terrified me. I seen the guy who I heard his voice, but then there was another person to his left. So now there's 3 people outside of the tent. And at least 2 of them were right by the tent door. And then the most terrifying thing I could think of happened. I'm laying there dead asleep. Now, it was summer. I was laying on top of my sleeping bag, not in it. So I didn't have to unzip or anything. And I made sure to lay there completely still. And I was watching. I could hear my heartbeat. I could feel it. And a thought ran in my head that if my heart beats any faster or louder, they're going to hear it and they're going to kill us. And I laid there. And I was trying to figure out, who is this? It was running through my brain. I was like, all 8 of us are here. There's no one close enough to Bruce to prank us. His parents would not walk a mile down, because I would have heard the car and I would have seen the headlights. They wouldn't walk a mile away from their house just to prank us, which it wasn't flat pasture. It was kind of down a hill. It was bumpy, had a lot of holes. They wouldn't do that. He had a little sibling and he had an older brother, but his older brother wasn't at home. I think he lived somewhere else, like a completely different state. I could not figure out who this was. And while I was thinking of this, I heard a noise that just made me freeze. It was metal clinking together. And I realized that one of the guys outside the tent was grabbing the zipper to the door. And I watched where the zipper was. Because the way I do the zipper, because I'm the one who does the zipper, and Zach did it as well. We never did it on the sides because we always said it gets snagged there, and you have one zipper having to go all the way. So what we always did is we zipped both zippers up to the top right in the middle. So you grab 2 or 1, but they're both there. You don't have to search for them, and you can unzip it quickly. I see only one of them start to go. It was this one, I remember. It was the right one. And he pulls it. And it goes... I can hear the tent door start to unzip. And at this moment, the person holding the flashlight outside the tent brings it up. to shine into the tent. Now, I don't know why these people were trying to get in our tent. I don't know what the person was doing with the flashlight. But my brain immediately thought, that person is trying to blind us so we cannot see who's coming in our tent, and they're going to kill us. And so, my brain goes into fight or flight mode. Either I'm going to stand here and try to survive, or I'm going to run. Now, granted, the only way to run was by these people or make a hole in the back door and get out. But I didn't know how many people there were. And a lot of us played sports that were on this camping trip. And if anybody knows me, I'm not a flight kind of guy. Like, it just comes natural for me to start swinging when I get scared. I'm not proud of it. I've punched a lot of innocent people on accident out of complete fear because they jump up and they scare me from around the corner. I apologize to all of you. I apologize to my mother because I'm pretty sure I've hit her before with a fly swatter when she scared me when I was a little kid, and I just kept smacking her with it. Like, I can't control my reactions when you scare me like that because my body says attack. And that's what I did. These people unzipped the tent, and it got about 2 inches. It was about 4, 5, I'd say 5 inches, 5 to 6 inches, because a hefty part, I could see the sky, and I could kind of see somebody there, and I seen so there was somebody unzipping the tent. Now here's where I just, out of fear, I don't know if I made the right decision. So, the way the light was shining, I seen shadows, the silhouettes of the people on the tent door. And I seen the silhouette of someone to the side of the tent. Like, to the side of the door, that is. So from my view, it's like they were standing to the side and reaching to grab the tent zipper and unzip it towards them. So it's like they were going to unzip it and other people were going to come in. That's what my brain thought. And so my brain's like, you don't know how many people's coming in here, and you might only have one punch to your name. And if you've only got one punch, you got to make it count, because they might stab you afterwards or shoot you right here in the tent and just shoot the whole tent full of holes, and you and your buddies are just going to die right here. So if you're going out, you got to go out with a Rocky Balboa punch. You got to make it count. So in one swift move, I roll over to like a push-up position. And I'm not going to lie, I watched a bunch of Naruto back when this happened. And so I was like, I've got to focus all of my energy into this one punch. If Dragon Ball Z and Naruto has taught me anything, it's I've got to put everything I've got into this. And so what my theory was, from a push-up position, I'll throw my body, I'll basically push myself up off the ground, and going through the air, I'll fall into the punch while punching. And that's what I did. I mean, telling the story now, I realize it's really stupid. I don't know why I didn't just wake everybody else up and go take these guys on. We were all football players and baseball players, and some of us played basketball too. We could have took these guys. I mean, we weren't young. We were like 17 or 18, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was like the final year of high school, if I remember correctly. We were pretty big guys. We worked out every day. We could have beaten them up. But my brain was like, no, everybody's going to die, and you're the only one going to get to throw a punch. Make it count. And so I pushed myself up off of my sleeping bag, and in like one fluid motion, I spin through the air, and I punch not the door, but the silhouette of where I think this guy's going to be. And this is what terrifies me. Me hoping that all of this was just a bad dream or sleepy me conjuring up, things that were there that weren't there. All of that I found out to be false. That what was happening was really happening. Because when I punched, granted, the tent gave a little. Like the fabric wasn't taut. So when I punched it, I was pushing the tent. But I didn't have to push it far before I made contact with someone on the other side. And I hit them so hard that they fell down. And in that moment, my adrenaline kicked in, and I went from they're going to kill us to I'm going to kill them. and at this moment, I must have punched or grunted or something, because Dylan wakes up at this moment and he goes he wakes up and he goes, "John, are you punching the door?" Oh man, I'm losing it. But in the moment, it was so serious. It was so serious, and I was like, "Dylan, someone's trying to get in the tent," and I shouted it. And at that moment, Josh goes, "Are you kidding me?" And Jason wakes up, and he's like, "Are you serious?" And at this moment, I'm trying to get out of the tent. But my brain is telling me to chase after these guys because I punched one and he fell down. And I heard him say, "Let's get out of here." And they start running. But there was only like a 6-inch opening in the tent. And I try to get through that. I get stuck in the hole of the tent door. And so I'm like, basically, it's like Looney Tunes. Only my shoulders and my head are out of the tent, and I can't get out. And thankfully, Zach comes behind me, and he unzips it. And Zach was definitely faster than I was, and Jake was faster than I was. And I fall down, and they're like, "Where'd they go?" And then I'm on the side of the tent, and we look, and I mean, it's not funny. We could have actually been in serious danger. But we go around on the side of the tent, and we look, and like probably 100 yards, we see at least 3 flashlights swinging in the air. Jake seen it. And I said, "Jake, do you see that?" And he goes, "Yeah, I see it." He goes, 2 of them's in the woods. And one of them was running near the bank of the water. And Zach said, "Do we go after them?" And I said, "I don't know. I mean, they might have weapons. I don't know." And Jake goes, "Who was that?" And I was like, "I have no clue." And we kept watching them. And the light on the right disappeared, out of sight. It didn't just vanish, but he got out of our sight line. The 2 in the woods turned their lights off. And I looked at Jake, and then he's like, "What do we do?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then Bruce came out, and he goes, "You're just making stuff up." And Zach's like, "No, I seen it." And I think Jake, he confirmed it too. But us 3 seen it. And so Zach, he drove, I think it was a Pathfinder back then. It might have been a Frontier. It was something like that, that kind of vehicle. And he jumps in it, and he drives to the woods and turns on his brights. And so by this moment, all of us, I think except for Jason and Josh, I think they stayed at the camp. The rest of us loaded up. And he drove to the edge of the woods, and there we are. And he's shining his brights, and we're looking around. And We don't see anything. We don't see the people. We don't hear anything. I think Dylan starts to throw rocks into the woods, seeing if they're laying down or something. The thing is we weren't going to go after them into the woods because we would have got split up, possibly hurt, tripped over something. And just the thing that we were all thinking is we don't know who this is. We don't know if they've got weapons, if they are trying to harm us, or if they were just thinking we left a tent site or like a campsite behind and they were just going to loot it. Like, we didn't know what was going on. So we were not going into those woods because then we would give them the advantage. So we stayed out of the woods. We stayed on the edge with the brights and we searched for them. And 15 minutes, 20 minutes pass. We don't see anything. So we go back to the campsite and, they're all making jokes. They're like, Dylan's making jokes. He's like, John, I don't think anybody was actually there. I think John just woke up and punched the tent door. But me, Zach, and Jake know for a fact that we seen at least 3 people. And 2 of them was hiding in the woods. So, we all get flashlights because Zach had some in his car, and we decided that if it happens again, this time, we got flashlights. We can shine them on the people, use them as weapons if we need to, but we all laid down. Now, some of us fell right back asleep because I honestly don't know. I don't know if Dylan believes me or not. I don't know if Bruce believes me, but I know what I seen. I know that I saw. Oh, and I think Jamie was there too, actually. I mean, not that the roster matters, but I'm pretty sure Jamie was there as well. Delgado, I think he was there. But anyways, I don't know if they believed me, but I do know that 3 of us seen it for sure. So we all go back to the tent, things calm down and they all go to sleep. But I just lay there because my adrenaline's still pumping and I can't believe, what just happened. But I'm laying there and I'm thinking about it and I'm like, who was that? Because the thing is it's not like they just found a random tent in the woods and was going to loot it. And it's not like they found a vehicle parked on someone's property, away from the house, and they were going to go through all this stuff. They had to know we were there. I mean, Bruce claims that he didn't have anybody prank us, and the rest of them were like, no, we don't know anybody who would live out here to do that. And there was no students who we went to school with or anything like that lived around that area who knew about us being there to come and prank us either. So we don't think it was someone pranking us. For those of us who admit to believing in it, who believe it actually happened, we don't believe it was someone trying to prank us. Because the thing is so there's a tent and a vehicle there. But there's a plethora of lawn chairs and pop-up chairs around a campfire. And it's not like the campfire was just ash. It had orange coals in it because we lit it back up the next morning by just adding firewood. So it had a little smoke to it, just a little, but it was obviously fresh because of the orange coals. So seeing these things and just counting the amount of chairs that were there, if it was only 3 people, why would you still try to go into the tent? You're obviously outnumbered. I don't know, man. It was terrifying when it happened. I mean, I look back and I can laugh at it, at the things that happened, but when you really stop to think about it, at least 3 people thought they could take on 8 of us. It's kind of kind of creepy when you think about it. But I don't know. You don't have to believe me. Some of the people who were there, they don't. But 3 of us, we know what we saw. We could have been in danger. Thank you guys for tuning in to the first day of Stranded Sailors 31 Days of Halloween. There's more coming, folks. Stick around.